All right, what's good, man? Let's get into it. Kind of a different video, but I want to make this video. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if you like videos like this, and if I should make more of those. But I want to say something. There's this notion in the NFL that if you have a great team around an average quarterback, or if you have a great team around a slightly above average quarterback, or anything like that, you can win a Super Bowl. That's a lie. Well, I won't say that's a lie. It's true, but let me tell you, that's not a great, successful way of winning. And I'm going to explain why. Can someone in the comment section name me a time, name me a decade, not a time when an average quarterback won a Super Bowl? We can look at that all we want. But can you name me a time where average quarterbacks have won Super Bowls throughout the whole decade? And that's a rhetorical question. And the reason why it's a rhetorical question, because right here, as I share my screen, I have all the quarterbacks who've won Super Bowls throughout the whole decade, as you see right here. These are the NFL Super Bowl wins, okay? In the 60s, now granted, in the 60s, the NFL just started, so there was only like 3 Super Bowls from 67 to 70. Bart Starr, 2, Joe Namath, 1. And I want to say this, and I know a lot of people are going to come in my comment section and say Bart Starr, Joe Namath, Johnny Unitas, and Terry Bradshaw are trash. In today's standards, they're trash. But back then, back when the NFL, when you were allowed to pick quarterbacks up and slam them on their neck and take wide receivers and slam them on their neck and then intercept the ball, that was a different time. These guys right here were franchise quarterbacks for their time. And we don't know what they will look like now with the rules where you can't touch the quarterback nor the receivers, but in the 60s, you had 3 Super Bowls, Joe Namath and Bart Starr, who are franchise quarterbacks. In the 70s, Johnny Unitas, franchise quarterback, won 2 to 3 MVPs. He won 1. Roger Staubach, Hall of Famer. So is Johnny Unitas. Won 2 Super Bowls. So that's 3. And Terry Bradshaw, quarterback for the Steelers, won 3 Super Bowls in the 70s. In the 70s, this was from 70 to 79. So from 70 to 79, Johnny Unitas, Roger Staubach, Terry Bradshaw all combined won 6 Super Bowls altogether, which means the franchise quarterbacks during that time period won the majority of Super Bowls during that decade or during that 9-year stretch. Let's look at the 80s. Terry Bradshaw won 1 in 90 in the beginning of the decade, or from the beginning of 80 to 89. He won 1. Joe Montana won 3, 82, 85, and 89. And Joe Theismann won 1 with the Washington football team, as we know, the Redskins before. So that's 1, 2, and then so that's 5 Super Bowls combined between franchise quarterbacks, which is not the majority, but I mean, it's still half. Let's look at the 90s, which proves the point right here. Joe Montana won 1 in 1990. Troy Aikman won 1 in 93, 94, and 96. Steve Young won 1 in 95, and John Elway won 1 in 98 and 99. The majority of franchise quarterbacks in the 90s won Super Bowls. Let's look at the 2000s. Brady won 3. We all know that. Kurt Warner. People forget how great Kurt Warner was for the Rams and for the Cardinals. He won 1. Peyton Manning. He won 1. We're already up to what? That's Brady won 3. And then Kurt Warner and Peyton. That's 5. Breeze won 1 in 2009, and Big Ben won 1 in 2008. So that's 7 franchise. Well, that's Brady's 3, and then the rest. The majority of Super Bowls won in 2000s were by franchise quarterbacks, not average quarterbacks. And then let's look at the 2010s. 2010s, Brady won 3. We all know that. Aaron Rodgers won 1 in 2010. Russell Wilson. I know Russell Wilson gets clowned now, but a Russell Wilson video will be coming out where I explain why Russell Wilson will be bouncing back this year. But Russell Wilson, franchise quarterback, that's already 5 right there. And then Patrick Mahomes in 2019. So just like in the 80s, the half of the quarterbacks who won Super Bowls in the 2010s were franchise quarterbacks. And I'm leaving off Peyton Manning in 2015 because Peyton Manning, wasn't Peyton Manning anymore. But I said all that to say this is that this whole notion that you can put average quarterbacks around great teams and those succeed. I just have a question. Why didn't the 2000 Ravens win any more Super Bowls? I mean, people not hype up, but people sit here and say, well, their quarterback was Trent Dilfer. You can win with an average quarterback. Trent Dilfer won. Okay, great. And they had Trent Dilfer again, and also had a bunch of bums around Ray Lewis and that defense, and they didn't win anything until 2013. Ray Lewis should have 2 to 3 Super Bowls right now, but he didn't. You know why? Because they put bums at quarterbacks on the offense. That's why they couldn't win. That's why they couldn't beat Brady and Peyton Manning in the 2000s. Let me ask another question. Why didn't the 85 Bears win that much? Because they had Jim McMahon at quarterback, who's the definition of average. And they won 1 in 85. Congratulations. It is what it is. But that defense was still around 86, 87, 88, 89. They didn't do anything. And I'm talking about winning-wise. Yeah, they made the playoffs, and yeah, they made probably some NFC championship games and made it to the second round. But they didn't win anything because they had average quarterback play. And I left off Peyton Manning just to be fair. But the Broncos from 2014 from all the way to 2018 had elite defenses. Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, Champ Bailey, Aqib Talib, TJ Ward, Brandon Marshall, the linebacker. Why didn't they win anything? Because after Peyton Manning retired, and say what you want about Peyton Manning, he's still an elite quarterback, they had Brock Osweiler. They had Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch. Paxton somebody. I forgot his name. Some bum. They had bums at quarterback. That's why that defense didn't do anything. And I said all that to say this: just because you have a great team around an average quarterback does not mean you're going to win a lot of championships. A la the 2000 Ravens, a la the 85 Bears, and the 2015 Broncos. Honestly, I came to realize this. Eli Manning, people are trying to capture average quarterbacks and trying to capture what Eli Manning did, but Eli Manning is an anomaly. Can you name me another average quarterback who won 2 Super Bowls? For real, can you name me another quarterback who's average who won 2 Super Bowls? I made a video a long time ago, the Eli Manning syndrome, starring Giants fans and NFL fans, saying, listen, just because you have a great team around an average quarterback, you're not going to win. Prime example, look at the 49ers the last few years. They had Jimmy G, whose middle name is average. They had Brock Purdy, who didn't do anything. I get he got injured, but at the same time, they had Jimmy G, who's average. And when it came to Patrick Mahomes, when it came to Matthew Stafford, when Jimmy G actually had to win, he lost. He lost. When Brock Purdy went up against Jalen Hurts, he lost. Listen, the NFL is a quarterbacks league, whether you like it or not. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win. I'm sorry to say that. You're not going to win anything. I mean, you might win, but let me just ask you something. You might win a Super Bowl, yes. But is that how you wanna try to win? To luck up, to put a great team around an average quarterback and hope and luck up that you become a Nick Foles, that you become a Joe Flacco, that you become a Jim McMahon? Is that how you guys want to win? Let me ask everybody a question. Once again, would you rather suck and try to find that Patrick Mahomes, that Tom Brady, that Aaron Rodgers, that Drew Brees? Or would you rather try to put someone like a Dak Prescott out there, someone along those lines, a Jimmy G, and try and put all the talent around them and see if it works? I already explained Jimmy G. Dak Prescott, I mean, he's slightly above average, but you're not winning anything with him. The dudes have one of the most talented rosters in the last like 3-4 years and has done nothing with it. Kirk Cousins has one of the best offenses, has done nothing with it. And I just went through the list of, besides maybe majority of the decades or majority of from the 9-year stretch, franchise quarterbacks win Super Bowls. The majority of average quarterbacks who have great teams around them fail most of the time. Whether it's the 60s, whether it's the 3 years with the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, or the 2010s, franchise quarterbacks win Super Bowls. Average quarterbacks with great teams, majority of the time, do not win Super Bowls. This is a quarterbacks league. You need a quarterback to win. If you don't have a quarterback, if you have a slightly above average quarterback or an average quarterback, doesn't matter how much talent you put around them, they're still average. They're not going to win you the Super Bowl. And even if they do luck up and win you a Super Bowl, once again, look at the 2000 Ravens. Ray Lewis, the reason why Ray Lewis is not a 3 to 4 time champion is because he had average quarterback play. Look at the 85 Bears, one of the greatest defenses ever. You know why they only have one ring? Average quarterback play. Von Miller should have 3 to 4 Super Bowls. You know why he doesn't? Average quarterback play. But that's my thoughts, man. What are yours? What's your thoughts on my take that you need an elite quarterback to win Super Bowls? And that this is a quarterback's league and that they win Super Bowls, not teams. But that's my thoughts. What are yours? RJ out.